again with another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. This time it's on Gold Paladin Liberators. So Liberators was actually my first Vanguard deck that I owned was actually Liberators when I bought the Liberator Trial deck, and it was the first one I ever got. It was the first one I ever bought, and then it was the first one I've ever played with. So this deck is actually kind of close to me, and even though it's not my necessarily favorite, it comes from my favorite clan of Gold Paladin, and it's my second favorite deck. My first favorite being Ezel, which is not complete yet, but it's iffy. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. So starting with our grade 0, it's Young Lion Liberator Romanius. It's 10k. We don't run Legion, by the way, so don't even bother asking me about that. So he's 10k shield, 5k power. He has 4 runner and then a GB1 rearguard skill, counterblast 1 and retire it. Different than put into soul. If you have a Vanguard Liberator's card name, choose up to 2 of your units with Liberator in the card names, and they get when your other units placed on rearguard from your deck, you get plus 3k power. Liberators nowadays focus on calling from the deck and get plus 3k power. Them, a long time ago, was focused on break red and then at calling stuff. So, this card, you may be running, why do I not run a better starter? It's because he is actually here only because of the main grade 3 skill, Garmor, who sends stuff to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn to draw one. So I never really use him because my deck is kind of counterblast heavy and I only have 3 counter chargers, but he can do his job. Now on to our triggers. Speaking of the counter charger, here's the 1 copy of counter charger. I don't have 4, but if you guys donate to the Patreon, I'll be able to buy 3 more. So do me that. Favor. Liberator, Shaggy Rabbit. 10k shield, 4k power, bind it face up, and then choose another heal from your drop zone and bind it face up. When it's discarded for the cost of the G Guard, you either soul charge 1 or counter charge 1. It's those heals that they came out with, like Chrono Monaco Hamster and stuff like that, to fix the soul charge and counter charge problem. This deck doesn't really have a soul problem, depending on what I'm doing, and it mainly has a counterblast problem. 2 copies of Plume Day Liberator. It's just a crit. I run it because you want to have as many high beasts as you can as possible, and saying that you guys probably know who one of my G units are now. 2 copies of Strike Liberator. I do have another 2 copies of Strike Liberator. It's just that I'm choosing to run more high beast, and I want it to make it rainbow triggers. 3 copies of Elixir Liberator. Our other heal. 4 copies of Armed Liberator Gridiron. And then 4 copies of Fortune Liberator. Now you're wondering, wait, if I just have 2 copies of Punde Liberator, why didn't I just cut down one of the draws or the stands for 2? And that's because this deck has a lot of potential to stack power, so you kind of want to have stands and the draws. My deck likes getting a bunch of hand cards and then reusing them over and over again, so that's kind of what you want. So starting with our size grade 1s is Primerigal Liberator. 5k shield, 7,000 power, Vanguard or Rearguard, counterblast 1 gets plus 1k power to the end of the turn. You can stack this as much as you want. I mean, I've never really used that skill except for like one of the first 3 times I played this deck. I mean, one of the first 3 times when I first got the deck, because that's the trial deck card. But yeah. 4 copies of Liberator, Board, and Illusion. I've been saying the wrong the whole time. 5,000 shield, 7,000 power, once per turn, if it's on the rearguard circle during GB1, when your other unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard Liberator's card name, this unit gets plus 7k power. So, it can be placed from anywhere as long as you have a Liberator Vanguard, so it can be placed from deck, hand, drop zone, bind zone, basically anywhere, and this unit will get plus 7k power as long as your Vanguard is Liberator and every card in this deck is Liberator. That's the same with the ZTB deck, by the way, because someone called me out on it with the weird thing. When I make a deck theme, if they have like a certain name or they have like a certain attribute that they belong to, I will do my best to make that deck highly all of it. Like this one's all Liberators. And the ZTB deck was all ZTB. Mostly. Liberator, Improved Falcon for our PG. This one I actually do run a PG in. Choose a card from your hand, discard it, its guardian circle, nullify the attack, and drop zone. Choose it and another copy of it from your drop zone, send it to the bottom of your deck, and, bind them, and if you do, choose up to 2 cards on any circles but your Vanguard circle, and put them at the bottom of your deck. And if you put one or more, you look at top 3, call 1, send the rest to bottom. Basically, it's a weird thing. This had errata, that's why I spoke out when I said, and another copy, because the original version was pick this card and a card named Improved Falcon. So basically, you could essentially just pick the same card. And then finally, 4 copies of Gold Liberator. As you could see, all of our grade 1s were High Beast. So 5k shield, 7,000 power, rear guard or hand, bind it face up. Choose one of your units or a locked card, unlock it, and it gets plus 2k power. So even if it's locked and you unlock it, it will still get plus 2k. And then rear guard circle, put it at the bottom of your deck at the beginning of your ride phase. If you have a Liberator Vanguard, which you will, you may pay the cost. If you do, send Counterblast. The cost for your strike this turn is Counterblast 1 Liberator. Once again, all that's going to be fulfilled really quickly. Now into our grade 2s. 1 copy of Liberator Royalty Fallon. 5k shield, 9k power when it attacks a Vanguard. If you have a Vanguard Liberator in its card name, it gets plus 3k. I've been deciding whether I want to take this out or not and swap it out for a Blaster Blade Liberator. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I've been deciding on that. That unit is kind of more helpful than Blaster Blade Liberator, but Blaster Blade Liberator can get rid of more resources. 2 copies of Tactician Liberator Burnius. Now, before you say anything, YouTube, or the guy who always comments on my videos and says I'm bad and my decks are horrible, when I bought Burnius, I was only able to buy 2 because there was only 2 left in stock, and I haven't seen any more. So don't say I'm bad because I only could find 2. If you guys have another copy of 2, I would appreciate if you guys would hit me up with them. So 5k shield, 9,000 power. When your other unit is placed on rearguard circle from your deck, if you have a Vanguard Liberator's card name, until the end of the turn, this unit gets plus 2k power, and when it hits the Vanguard, countercharge 1. So it stacks. So if you call 5 units this turn, it gets plus, if you've called 4 other units from your deck this turn, while this unit was on the field before they were called, it will gain plus 8k and on hit countercharge 4. 4 copies of Vangaurd Liberator. When it attacks Vanguard or Rearguard, if you have 3 or more Liberator Rearguards, it gets plus 3k. It just becomes an 11k base, so okay. And, I mean, you're going to stack the field. It's not going to be that hard. No GB restriction. And then finally, 4 copies of Adrigal Liberator. GB1, 5k shield, 9k power, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When it's placed from Rearguard from your deck, due to the effect of a Liberator card, you may pay the cost. If you do, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck. Call 2 cards with Liberator in their card name to Rearguard circle, separate Rearguard circles, and then send the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. That's the thing, he's the only other card besides a certain grade 3 that's Soul Blast, certain grade 4 that's Soul Blast. But he does kind of hurt, but he kind of does help towards he does hurt us with the counterblasting cost, but still. It's good, and like that G-Guard that's on place, counterblast 1, look at top 2, call 1, send the rest to bottom, and then at the end of the battle, if the attack failed to hit, then you call the unit that you called to rearguard, and if that was at your goal, since that card is a Liberator, then you could just call stuff. Now into our grade 3s, I only run 6 because even though I do have more Liberators, for some reason this deck does work out with me. Ghost Shock Liberator Kadu. Limit Break for when it attacks a Vanguard, it gets plus 5k power. And then Counterblast 1. You don't use Limit Break, just go use this one. Counterblast 1 on Vanguard Circle. When it hits a Vanguard, pay the cost. If you do, look at the top card of your deck, call Gold Paladin from among them to an open Rearguard Circle, and then you put it at the bottom of the deck. This is Stride Fodder. You're never going to have an open Rearguard Circle unless you're playing Kagero and they locked you down. 1 copy of Solitary Liberator Ganslaw. I wish I had 3 more. Break Ride. Basically, when another unit of the same clan rides on top of it. When a Gold Paladin rides on top of it, choose your Vanguard, and it gets plus 10k, and then choose up to 3 of your Gold Paladin Rearguards, and they get plus 5k each. And then Vanguard Circle, when it attacks a Vanguard, gets plus 2k, and then it has the Lord ability, which means if you have a card in your field that's not from the same clan as it, it can't attack. But if you have like an open Rearguard Circle, it's not going to restrict it. That doesn't count towards it. And then our MVP Grade 3, Flashfang Liberator, Garmor XL. Counterblast 1 on Vanguard Circle. When your G unit strides or with Liberator or Garmor in its card name, all of them have that except for the 2 G guards. Its original card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, look at top 3 cards of your deck, call 2 Liberators from among them to separate rearguard circles, and then you send the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. And then GB1 on Vanguard Circle, choose 2 of your rearguards with Liberator and their card names and send them to the bottom of your deck in any order. And then at the end of the turn, you may pay the cost if you do draw one. It had an errata on it where it could either be the top or bottom, and this does have that errata on it, but you still need to pay attention to where it says bottom. A really good card, like it restacks hand. That's why this deck has like a lot of hand engine. Same with the ZTB deck. That's why I don't run the PG. And same with the Time Leap deck. That's why I don't run PGs in them, because you can easily turbo out a good hand. 2 copies of Blue's Flame, True Liberator, Holy Flame. We're on our G's now. So counterblast 1 and choose a face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. Once per turn effect. If you have a hard card Liberator and its card name, for each face up copy of this thing in your G zone, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, call up to 1 card from among them to a rearguard circle, and then put the rest in your drop zone, and it gets plus 2k until the end of the turn. So if you have like 3 of these face up in G zone, what my understanding of this is, oh yeah, because it says for each you look at the top 3. So what you do is that you look at top 9. If you have 3 face up, you look at top 9, and then you would pick 1 from each, call it, and then you send the rest to drop. Basically, for every 1, you look at top 3, call 1, send the rest to drop, and give that unit plus 2k. 2 copies of every PG unit. Golden Knight of Gleaming Fang, Vangaurd. This is the reason why most of my stuff are supposed to be high beast. Once per turn, GB2 effect. Act. Choose a card from your drop zone, send it to the bottom of your deck. Reveal the top 6 cards of your deck. Choose the same number of units as the number of high beasts revealed, and they get plus 4k, and it can include your Vanguard too. And then if 4 more revealed, it gets plus 1 crit. I've only put off like the plus 1 crit like barely under half the amount of times I've used him, but it's worth it. I mean, it's power stacking at best, and that's why I run the stands, especially when it's overpowered with that extra crit. And then its other skill, which I don't use that much. In fact, I've only used once, and that was when I was desperate. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. If you have a heart card with Vanguard's card name, look at top 3, call 1 to rearguard, shuffle, and then send the rest back in deck and shuffle, and it also counts as a royal. That's why I run this. It's not because of the second skill, it's because of the first skill. The third skill is literally just because it can be that way, and then the second skill I've only used once, and that was because I needed a feel because I was playing Kagero. I had nothing in my hand, and I was like, F it, Hail Mary, it's call from the top of my deck, and for God's sake, Bernius was the first one at the top, and I was like, fuck you, Kagero. And I somehow won that game that turn because I got really lucky, because when I did its second skill, when I did its first skill, the GB2, all 6 cards are high beast, and I just screwed my opponent. I was like, F you, Kagero, I win by pure luck, Zach. 4 copies of Shining True Liberator or Solemn Glitter. Once per turn effect. Counterblast 1 if you have a heart card Liberator and its card name. Look at 3 cards on the top of your deck. Call 2 Liberators from among them, and then send to separate rearguard circles and send the rest to the bottom of the deck in any order. It's pretty much it. It's just a really good card. I run 4 because I only own 4. I run 4 because I have nothing better. I would say run 4 of Vangaurd, definitely. Run 4 of Holy Flame. Then just run 4 G-Guards. And speaking of G-Guards, let's get on to them. 1 Dark Element Dismal. This is to protect Bernius. If you don't know what it does, it has resist on the Guardian Circle, which basically means they can't retire it. And then when it's placed on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your rearguards until the end of the turn. It can't be hit, and it cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So they can't retire it, they can't lock it, they can't attack it. Basically, they can't do jack to it. So it's just protecting. That's why it's here, because if I could Bernius on the rearguard, I can go, no, protect Bernius, screw you. Speaking of screw you, 1 copy of Metal Element Screw you. But you know what I call it? I call it Screw You. 15k shield, choose a card from your hand, discard it. Only she's placed on Guardian Circle, and if the number of cards face up in your G zone is 1 or more, you pay the cost. If you do, it gets plus 10k shield. I run it because this deck can turbo out a lot of hand cards, so that discard one is really easy. Same with my 2 Gear Chronicle decks. In fact, I could have put that one in either of those, either this one or those 2, because they all have like good hand cards, and I don't really need to run PGs in any of them. And this one I only run PGs in because I like having Liberator High Beast. That was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon, and I'll be doing another Vanguard fight right now. And don't forget to stand up your Vanguard.